What does it take to become a master at sales? It's a great question, because the fact is, to become a master at anything, you need to put in a lot of time. Think of it from this perspective. Malcolm Gladwell wrote in his book Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at anything. 10,000 hours. Now, there is a way to be able to time collapse that 10,000 hours. You could obviously go out and go for no and lose and go down this spiral of despair and not get sales. And it's horrible for a lot of people, because you got to put in those 10,000 hours. It's years. And most people, you probably don't have that kind of time. And I don't blame you. So what can we do to be able to time collapse? Well, the answer is you get a coach. You want to become a master at something. Let's not use the example of sales. Let's use a martial art. You want to become a master, a black belt in Kung Fu or Taekwondo? Guess what? You go and learn from a sensei. The master, who, by the way, was once a disaster, the master was once a white belt. And that master learned from someone who's already been there. And instead of going up to a brick or a piece of wood and trying to break it over and over and over again and not getting the right technique until 10,000 hours later they finally figure it out, what they did was they went and they seek the master. And the master teaches them how to do it so that they don't make the mistakes along the way. So how do you become a master at sales? It's the same thing. You actually connect with people that are already masterful in their approach. And you want to be able to be in alignment with that. So yes, Malcolm Gladwell was right. There's 10,000 hours that could require you to get to a level of mastery, or you can find someone who will give you what John Wooden would say are the laws of learning. And if you don't know who John Wooden is one of the best coaches of all time in NCAA history. And his approach were the 8 laws of learning. And the 8 laws of learning, according to John Wooden, are information or explanation. Then it would be a demonstration. And then it would be up to the person who was learning to do imitation. Now, many people, when it comes to sales, they go, "No, I don't want to be a robot." And yet, these are just 3 of the 8 laws of learning. And in the world of sales, there is a 9th law that I'm going to share with you. John Wooden's laws, again, as a coach in the NCAA, he would literally go through an explanation or information, then he would demonstrate. So it's information, demonstration, and then say, "Okay, guys, now you do it." Imitation. And then the 4th law, repetition. The 5th law, repetition. The 6th law, write it down, repetition. The 7th law, repetition. 8th law, repetition. And the reason for all of the repetition is so that under pressure, you unconsciously, you don't even have to think, you develop a level of unconscious competence so that in the face of danger or pressure, you react automatically because you've already planned. You've heard this before. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So in this context, you plan to succeed because you've done the repetitions. Now, in the world of sales, because you don't want to be a robot, the 9th law, because you've gone through 5 laws of repetition, you've repeated it so many times, just like the master has shown you, then you get to the 9th law, which is authentication. And authentication in the world of sales means you get to say it in your own words at a level of mastery where you are beyond a black belt. You become the teacher. That is true mastery. And in the world of the SOS Dojo, the way that we highly encourage people to get to their black belt is then we invite them to teach new people, to teach people that are just getting their feet wet, to get people that want to time collapse the process. If you really want to master something, teach it. When you get to a level where you get mastery, you watch other people as you're teaching them, where the light turns on, where they get it, where they sound so good at doing it the way that you've taught them to do it. And what's great is when they get to a place where they do it in an authentic voice with body language that just absolutely is true to who they are. So it's like a piece of music. I like making reference to this often, actually. There's a song that's called All Along the Watchtower. Now, I might be aging myself here or dating myself here. Bear with me. If You ask anybody who was around in the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even in the 90s, you say to them, hey, who wrote the song All Along the Watchtower? Most people are going to say it's Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix plays the song. The original version of the song is from Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wrote it. Jimi Hendrix plays it. So what Jimi does is that he learned the notes, and he did it several times in terms of repetition, and then he plays the music. You want to get to a level of mastery where you can play the music of your conversation. 38% of the way that we communicate is our tone of voice. 55% is our body language. 55. So when we want to be authentic and be masterful at this, we need to practice. It's no different than an actor who rehearses their lines before a scene. It's no different than a lawyer who does a mock trial several times before they bring the case in front of an actual judge and jury. Those that plan and prepare and practice are masterful. They win the case. They win the games. They win the sale. And in the world of sales, to really become masterful, yes, you can put in 10,000 hours. Why would you want to put in 10,000 hours when you could time collapse the whole process and you could do it with a master that will help you get there so much faster? You want to become a master in sales? I encourage you to actually step in to the SOS Dojo. There'll be a link. Come in for a session absolutely free and check it out. You'll be able to do this live with other members of our community, actual members that are there to practice, and you'll be able to practice along with them absolutely free for a session. And you'll see why they're becoming masterful so much faster. You could choose to go, hey, you know what? Instead, you could prop up a video camera or record your calls. The thing is, now you got to do the calls, and then you've got to watch the calls, listen to the calls, and audit yourself or have somebody else audit it. And the process just gets longer and longer. Or you could do role play live, interactive live role play, interactive training, what we call live it. When you live it and you live it live, guess what? You time collapse. And you can course correct any bad habits and create good habits so that you can become a master that much faster.